Hey guys, this is Nomiki Konst. I'm here in the car on top of the Queensboro Bridge. We have some breaking news today, news that I've been holding in because I'm in it, and I want to make it very clear to you guys, our audience, our TYT Politics audience, that I have been appointed a member of the DNC's Unity Commission, which is the commission that came out of the Rules Committee around the time of the convention. The Rules Committee was there to decide the rules of the Democratic Party. There were some issues that definitely needed more debate and thorough investigation, and that's why they decided to put together this Unity Commission between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. They each chose members of this commission. There are 9 Hillary Clinton chosen commission members, and there are 7 Bernie Sanders, and the remaining go to Chairman Perez. You know, we knew back then that the chairman would have a choice of 3. In total, the commission has 21 members, and it has been announced today. So our first commission meeting is going to be on May 5th and 6th, and we're going to be touring around the country, talking to different folks from around the country to find out what they think about the things that we're going to debate. And then we need to issue a report by January of next year, 2018. These commissions are not new to the Democratic Party. In fact, there were several very important commissions that took place in the late 70s, early 80s that redesigned, reconfigured the rules of the Democratic Party. That's where the DLC came from. That's where superdelegates came from. They came from these commissions. Now we are going to address the issues of the presidential primary specifically. You know, should we have superdelegates? Should it be a representative superdelegate system? Meaning, should the superdelegates that we have reflect their voters' wishes? Which I actually think is not completely bad, because in the end they're not as weighted as you would think. So I'm just going to go through the press release first, because I think that's what's really important is for you guys to understand what this Unity Commission does, right? Oh, also, very important, I won't be covering the Unity Commission because I'm on it, right? That doesn't make sense. So I just want to make that very clear for anybody who's watching and curious. So Secretary Perez says, quote, that, where is it? This Unity Commission includes everyone from lifelong Democrats to 18-year-olds who cast their first ballot in 2016. A Democratic Party that gives every Democrat a voice in the process will make enormous gains from the school board to the Senate cycle, and it will take back the White House in 2020. We already see the incredible energy in a number of highly competitive races from around the country. They announced that we will be meeting in Washington, D.C. on May 5th and 6th. And the commission must issue its report and recommendations no later than January 1st, 2018 to the DNC Rules and Bylaws Committee. The commission is made up of, you ready for the names? We have our 2 chairs, one from the Hillary camp, one from the Bernie camp. Larry Cohen, the chair of Our Revolution, the former president of CWA, Communications Workers Union. You have Jennifer O'Malley Dillon, who is a consultant. She is the other chair that was announced. Well, it was last year. She was announced by Hillary Clinton. Now, just so you guys know, I know that Bernie put forward his names in the fall. I'm not sure when Secretary Clinton decided on her names, but we just learned about them today. Same thing with Chairman Perez. There's Charlie Baker from Massachusetts, Jan Bauer from Iowa, Jeff Berman from D.C., Lucy Flores is a former surrogate for Bernie and Assemblywoman from Nevada, Congresswoman Marsha Fudge from Ohio, Maya Harris from New York, interesting, David, I'm going to mess up his name, Hoon from Louisiana, Elaine Kamarck from Massachusetts. Jane Klebb is a Bernie person. She is the chair of the Nebraska Democratic Party. She's also on the transition team, for those of you who are interested, and we've interviewed her before. There's me from New York. Gus Newport from California, Yvette Lewis from Maryland, Jorge Neri from Illinois, James Roosevelt Jr. from Massachusetts, Emmy Ruiz from Texas, Nina Turner from Ohio, Jeff Weaver, the former campaign manager for Bernie Sanders, Virginia, Wellington Webb from Colorado, and Jim Zogby, also Bernie Sanders from DC. So that's the list of people who are on the Unity Commission. what we're going to debate is the primary process. Should there be open primaries? Now, of course, states decide on these things, but they take recommendations, and there can be a plan that comes out of this that comes from the national party. What should the primaries be stacked? I don't know if you guys remember this, but there were some primaries. There were like 7 states on the same day. Now, what does that mean? Well, that automatically the candidate who benefits from that the most is the one who has the most resources. So Bernie, if you recall, did really well in states where he could invest a little bit more time. He could, it wasn't, it was 1 state at a time, maybe 2 states at a time. But if you have 7, 8, 9 states on one day, you have to have a lot of money to invest in those states. And I always felt like Bernie was a couple weeks behind in every primary, including New York. We can issue, hopefully, recommendations to the state parties to open up the primaries, to change their voter registration laws. Like in New York, for instance, we have the earliest voter registration dates. It's a contentious issue in our state. Hopefully our governor will decide to make it a priority, as he campaigned on and did in his State of the State. So this is, it's going to be an uphill battle. We don't know which of these names, at least I don't right now, who Hillary put forward and who Tom Perez put forward. I can tell you who the Bernie people are. I did, as I went through that list. I love the names, the people who Bernie Sanders has recommended for this Unity Commission. I think it's incredibly diverse. There's all levels of experience. I think all of us have experience with the Democratic Party, and that's something unique, that we each come to this with direct, immediate experience from the Democratic Party. I ran for Congress. I was a DNC member at one point. So I have my perspectives as a millennial who's faced opposition in the DNC. Lucy Flores obviously ran for Congress, and she was an assemblywoman. Nina Turner was a state senator. Someone asked if I'm taking the... I'm in the back seat, just so you know. I'm in the back seat. So it's going to be an uphill battle. If Keith Ellison had won the DNC chair, we would have a real hearty debate. I am really hoping that some of these names on this list are more willing to reform the party. I do believe that there were a lot of people, Hillary Clinton supporters in New York too, who saw the light after the election and understand there have been some problems in this party and they need to be reformed. Actually, a lot of Hillary supporters are not for super delegates. I know my seatbelt, I'm a bad New Yorker. Oh no, you guys caught me. Oops. You know what, New York cabs, you can never buckle your seatbelt. That actually should be an issue, but I'm not in a cab. I love cabs though. I just happened to come from a studio just now. So now I have my seatbelt on and I can focus. A lot of Hillary Clinton delegates felt that superdelegates were outdated in 2008 because remember, that affected the 2008 election. So I think superdelegates are not going to be the biggest issue. I could be wrong. We'll have to see. We're going to have a series of calls before the first meeting. I don't really know what the first meeting is going to be like. I don't know a lot right now, but I just wanted to give you my report. This was just announced. I'm going to be looking into some of these names a little bit more. I'm very curious to see who's going to be on this commission with us, what their perspectives and their experiences are with the party, what they're planning to get out of this. I mean, I think this is a little bit different than maybe the transition team because we're submitting recommendations for rules. The transition team is, I believe, a little bit more about, I think that the transition team is more symbolism than it is actual change, but I could be wrong. I mean, I've heard there's staffing recommendations coming from the transition team, but, this is, I think this is an opportunity to change the party. And I do feel that there are, even in the past couple of days, I've sensed that some folks in the DNC are really frustrated by some of the missteps. I think after the congressional race last week, it woke up a few people, in Kansas, of course, a few people who were continuing to be resistant to change. I think you have allies and folks like Senator Schumer, of all people, who see, they know where the wind is blowing and it's blowing towards populism. You see races like Kansas where, yes, they are fake eyelashes. I was on air. Real conversation here, guys. I think that, the temperature is constantly changing. And I think that we're where we were after the DNC race. I felt defeated. I felt like the consulting class won. But there's been some steps along the way. And, people are desperate for change. They don't want to lose in 2018. There's an opportunity to shift Congress without redrawing the lines, which is amazing. We don't have to redraw the already Republican favoring gerrymandered lines to win if we talk about economics. But that means that the Democratic Party, the institution itself, needs to realign itself, needs to restaff with people who are willing to talk about populist ideas, to talk about workers, to talk about poverty, and how it connects to identity politics. But that is a real shift in mentality and staffing and strategy. The DCCC needs to shift their strategy, which is not, the DNC needs to fund state parties. You look at what happened in Kansas, and there was like $12,000 on hand in that state party. It wasn't about throwing in a bunch of DCCC consultants to save the day. It was about funding the party, which engages those voters on a day-to-day basis. And that helps us in the primaries, that helps us in our off years, that helps us at the state level. And I think a lot of folks, even if they weren't Bernie people, understand that they want to win seats back and they'll do whatever it takes. I am concerned about the professional class of Democrats who are literally invested in a failing model. And you guys know who those folks are. You see me fighting with them on Twitter all day. They're the ones who are dragging the Democratic Party down because they're afraid of losing contracts, relationships. I think they're vengeful. I think a lot of them are really angry at the Bernie Sanders wing for calling them out and shedding light on what's been going on in the party for a long time. But I actually don't see a lot of those names. I don't see any off the top of my head on that list. I obviously need to look into the list a little bit more. But, this is going to be a really big thing. If anything that comes out of this, maybe we don't have the numbers on this Unity Commission, but the one thing that'll come out of it is we're going to have a national conversation about the issues, this detailed issues of transforming the Democratic Party. And you heard a lot of these issues brought up during the DNC chair race, but now it's going to go on all year. And you saw the names, you heard the names, the Bernie list. All of us are very vocal and very dedicated to transforming this party. And I don't think that any of us are going to zip our lips. We're going to be fighting there. We're going to be working with the other side because we do actually, as a commission, so we have to work together. Very excited about the DNC Unity Commission and the work that we're doing over the next year. And I want you guys to stay tuned. Our first meeting is May 5th and 6th. And I might come in for updates occasionally, but I won't be reporting. Obviously, I'm in the commission. I'm on the commission. So I'm just really excited to share this with you guys. All right. I'll be tweeting about it all day. Thanks. Have a good day.